I've got a Sub-Zero 700 TC model refrigerator. It's making a horrible noise. I believe this noise is the result of the bearings in the fan going bad. I'm first going to turn the refrigerator off. And then I'm going to remove the bottom freezer drawer by pulling it all the way out and then lifting it up. And this fridge, which is new to me, did not come with a bottom kick plate here, but by the end of the video we'll have a new one and we'll install it. So if you do have a kick plate, there are 4 screws holding it on, 2 on each side. Remove those screws and the kick plate should come straight out. And then you'll be looking at what I'm looking at here, and the neat thing about these Sub-Zeros is this whole bottom mechanical section will slide straight out from the bottom so you can access the fan. And to do this, there are 2 screws. There's one on each side on the bottom corner. Remove those little screws, these guys here, and then you should be able to slide this whole tray out towards you. Now you can see this evaporator, this radiator thing right here. That on the back side of that is our fan, and the fan, at least on mine, is held on by 3 brackets, and there are 3 corresponding screws that hold the fan onto these brackets. Remove these screws on the back of the fan, and then the fan will be free from the refrigerator, and all you should have to do is unplug the fan and the whole thing comes right out. There's our fan blade, fan motor. Now I get the blade off of there and swap it onto the new motor. And then here's our new motor. And this is a Sub-Zero factory authorized part. So that's the one we're using. And we got this by calling Sub-Zero. And let's see what we've got here. Little terminal pins on the end of the wire. Some other components in here. And some instructions. So here is our old fan, and in the instructions, one of the first things it says to do once you've got the fan out is to remove the fan blade. And we've got this funky looking nut on the top here. I'm just going to use a crescent wrench. That's what I'm using to get this guy off of here. And I'm assuming it comes off very much like a standard nut. Look at that. Alright, so there's that guy. That's off. Then the fan blade comes straight off of there. Now, our old motor, I'm going to set that aside. I don't believe we're going to need anything from that anymore. And then this guy and this nut, the kit comes with a new nut, so I'm going to set that aside as well. Alright, so in our bag of hardware, we've got this little rubber washer. This goes between the fan and the fan blade. So there's that, and then there should be a new nut in here. There is this guy right here. There's that. Let's put it on to this is our new motor. So you can see there's this little tab up here, and then we've got the bolt there to go on the threaded part. And so the little rubber washer goes on over that and over that tab, just like so. There's also on the fan, there's also a little, in approximately the same spot right above the main hole there. We've got that tab, so that lines up with that and goes on like so. And now we put on tighten this down. It wasn't very tight on the other one, so I'm assuming this doesn't have to be super tight. It's not really designed to be super tight. So there's our new fan installed, our new fan blade installed on our motor. Alright, now the wiring on this guy. The kit comes with a couple different plugs. So we've got this one, which is the one that I need, which is just a 2-prong connection there. It also comes with this 3-prong connection there, but so in case this applies to your machine, it does not apply in this case. It also comes with an extra ground wire. For a machine that has the 3-prong thing, you would need this extra ground wire. That's not the case here. It also comes with 3 new self-tapping screws. This guy here. And we need these self-tapping ones because if we look at the back, Look at the back of this guy. There's 5 different options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of where these screws can go. And none of these are threaded at the moment. So we're going to be threading them as we screw this in there. So that's something to be aware of. All right, and in the instructions it tells us that there's supposed to be a difference between these 2 wires. One is supposed to be a ribbed black and one is supposed to be a plain black. Kind of a rib on this one, and then this one doesn't have that, so I'm assuming this is the ribbed black here. And then on the side here there's this little tiny tab on the bottom, and because of that tab, that means that this guy is number 1 and this guy over here is number 2 according to the instructions. And number one has the plain black, which is this guy. So I'm going to flip this over and insert that. It's all circular in there, so that should go into there, and then the ribbed black should go over into here, and just push it in until it clicks, and then it shouldn't come out. So now we can see this guy's in there, and then you can see how these connections are oval on top, and so when you connect this to the other connector, there's only one way it can be connected. So we've got everything wired up correctly on this now. All right, so before I install this, I'm gonna try and make my life a little easier, and I'm gonna pre-thread these things because you've got to sort of tap these with these new screws, and so I'm gonna do that before I put it on there because now I can see things a lot easier. And I'm choosing my screw pattern here, which ones I'm tapping or whatever, based upon the old fan. The same pattern, I'm just following that on this new fan. So the same place that the screws were in the old fan, I'm putting them in the new fan. These go in super easy. They line up pretty easy and they go in easy. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove them and then shake out any metal dust. There should be some that comes out of these. All right, I'm gonna just turn over, tap it, blow it out, and then we'll go ahead and install this guy. All right, so we got these 3 little wobbly things back here that it attaches to. So I'll go ahead, orient this thing with the extension cord, electrical cord going over that way. I might actually just fish this electrical cord through here, the same way I found it. Get in here, and I'm just getting started wherever I can here. Start with my fingers, get it going. All right, everything's now still finger tight in there, but we got it all on and oriented. Let's continue to tighten this up. Let's test the fan, make sure it spins freely and does not come into contact with the housing. I don't know if you can see that or not. So there's the fan there. You can kind of see it moving. So it spins freely in the housing, which is this guy here. This is the housing, this whole section here. So, and then here's the little wobbly things. There's like 3 of these. There's a rubber mount right here that they connect to the housing with. And so these just sort of wobble around freely when they're not connected to the fan. But once you get them on the fan and tighten the bolt down back here, the whole thing solidifies up quite a bit, but it still has this rubber mount, so it's not super noisy because you got this rotating mass here. But yeah, that spins freely. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm tightening these down just snug. I'm not over tightening them. Basically kind of pay attention when you take the fan off, how tight they are, and try and replicate that when you put it back on. So there's that. So this guy's installed. Let's go over here to our wire. So we now got our new wire connection. I've just snaked it back through the same way it was when I found it. I don't know if that's factory correct, but that's how I found it, and I can only assume, you know? And so here's our connection. Like I said earlier, this can only go in one way because if you look at these guys, you can see how they've both got that sort of D shape to them. And so it only goes in one way. The little rounded part goes to the rounded part, which should be like this. And then it snaps in, and now we're connected. Now we're done. And I'm just gonna sort of stuff that back down the way it was, and then slide this tray back under. All right, and then I'm gonna reattach my screws. All right, so now it's time to reinstall this front kick plate, this guy right here. And since this fridge was a new to me fridge, it did not come with one. So I ordered one from Sub-Zero because they claimed that this was a vital piece to the operation of the actual refrigerator in terms of keeping everything thermoregulating the way it's supposed to in here. So the way this guy attaches, you can see there's a hole right there, another hole right there, and it's the same story on the other side here. And then on the fridge itself, this corresponds to the hole up here and this hole down there. So, and then the same deal again on the other side, there's two holes, and those guys line up there. We're gonna go ahead and attach that on here. And then one thing to note, these, I don't know when this comes into play, if it does for you or not, but there's a bolt right here and then another bolt right up in here. And those allow for adjustment of this little attachment piece here that the kick panel attaches to. So you can see that there is this big gap here. You can slide this thing in and out and adjust it. You can kind of tilt it back and forth a little bit like that as well. So depending on your situation, my situation, I had to adjust the feet on here to raise this fridge up in the front a bit. And I may need to adjust it in the back with these guys in order to get this thing level. All right, so this guy goes under, slides up like that. I'm putting these on loosely until I got all four of them in and everything is aligned correctly. And then we'll tighten it down more. All right, kick panel is on. Let's put our drawer back in. These guys out. Go ahead and power this guy up. See what happens. Hopefully our little chirping sound is gone away for good.